I got to be honest, a little bit tired today. We got in late, but what a great thing to do early in the morning to see the media. You can't beat it. Been drinking, Hondo? Well, we went to California trying to win a championship, and I think I don't want to overstate it, but I don't want to understate it, because I think you have to learn how to win them, and even though that's a smaller one than maybe the ones in front, mission was accomplished because we won it and we struggled. We didn't really. I thought Providence brought a lot of energy, and I thought they brought that hunger that, boy, this is something special for us. I think we went about it a little bit more as a workman's day's job, and that's not good enough. So we accomplished our goal, but we still got a long, long ways to go. And yet I thought some of the other things that were good is when you're in a place like that, right now, I keep talking about football, but I don't do it for any other reason than we went to a watch party. There were 850 Spartan alums down there, and it was exhilarating. It was fun. It was exciting. And I think with both sports, we're off to another big week between football and us, and I think that's exciting. I also thought it was good that, even though I didn't like the way Denzel struggled, thought it was a good learning lesson that you're going to get guarded differently now. You want a name, and I'm not saying he does, but you got a name. You've played at a high level. You've done some extraordinary things here in a couple days, and good teams are going to adjust to you, just like we would adjust to good teams. And I think, he really got it after he came up in a plane and started talking about it. It wasn't that he was bad, but I think he got a little frustrated at fouls. That would frustrate anybody right now. It's a tough situation, but some of it was his, and took a couple bad shots. But, we had some guys that came in, and Deontay played pretty well, especially the second time he went in. I thought we got our best game out of Eron Harris. McQuaid, I thought, played pretty well. Kenny Goins played pretty well. Our two seniors struggled a little bit, Matt and Denzel. And I thought Forbes was pretty solid. So we had to win a game without our star being at his best, and yet Denzel was pretty good. He did a lot of good things, got some rebounds, pushed the ball. When you're going in this in and out, and it was the same for Providence, when your best player's on the bench, it feels like it's not a smooth landing. It's very jagged, and that's what it was. But the unselfishness of this team at halftime, I think we had 11 assists and 12 baskets, has still been unbelievable. I think we're second or third in the nation, or maybe leading the nation in assists, and our rebound totals are still good, even though we were out-rebounded 19-13 at halftime. We bounced back to out-rebound them 22-7 in the second half, and I think that's a coach's way of evaluating whether you're focused in, you're dialed in, and you're playing as tough as you have to. Ed is a great coach, and he's been up here a few times, had his assistants come up, and I think looks at our program as one where his defense, his tenacity, they were very tough, physical. And another thing we got to do probably in a lot of these first 7 or 8 games is we've played so many different kinds of teams. I mean, 2 of the teams out there, centers where they're leading 3-point shooters. And that was a struggle without Schilling, because Matt's not as good out on the floor as he is in the paint. And so we had to make some adjustments, and I thought we did a decent job on that. So all in all, as Doug Herner said to me on the plane on the way home, boy, we've played a lot of different teams, a couple teams that went strictly zone, a couple teams that played in-your-face man, a couple that played more like us. We've played really big teams, and we've played really small teams. So I guess that's usually what I want to get out of the preseason. It sure is happening. I'll speak a minute on Louisville, then we'll open it up. Louisville's been a team that, I think like ourselves, like Wisconsin, even if they don't have the same names, they're always good. He's got a good system. Defensively right now, they're off the charts. They're leading the nation in rebounding. And they're second in the nation in field goal percentage defense. What's different there is their two new faces, their two leading scorers are both senior transfers. Damon Lee is a transfer from Drexel, and Trey Lewis is a third leading scorer, and he's a transfer from Penn State. So they've got some veteran guys playing, not freshmen or sophomores. They've got 50-year guys playing, and Rick's a hell of a coach, and my biggest concern is what do I do with our guys after getting in at 6:30 this morning, just how we do this. I can't say that I've been through a lot of things, but this isn't one of them. So we sent them to class. We're gonna shrink the practice down today, see how they do tonight, and then try to have a normal day tomorrow. But I would think, with the excitement of having a big game at home, our crowd there, hopefully our football guys there, I would think that momentum builds this week, and instead of taking it for granted, we really jump on things because we've been waiting a lot of years. It seems like we do not have these big home games for a variety of reasons, and no question that Louisville is a huge home game, and I think our fans and our team will answer the bell. Questions?
When you were president of the coaches board, you talked about the difficulty of trying to look at what's best for the game and not looking at things from a Michigan State perspective. No. Certainly your style of defense, the new rules don't benefit. But I heard from a fan who traveled to the game, not from Michigan but not from California, that said, I didn't pay to watch backups. I paid to watch Denzel Valentine, and this is ridiculous. And I'm just curious, because of your standing in college basketball, how much do you coaches begin to band together to speak up more for the quality of the game, not what's best for Michigan State?
Well, my standing's about as good as telling my wife not to buy shoes, So don't give me too much credit because I have absolutely zero power in that. I got a lot of good friends that are the talking heads, especially on ESPN and that, and everybody thinks it's good. Listen, most of you in this room have been here when we did put on football pads. Now we put on ballerina skirts and those little shoes that they wear. That's how we practice now. It's different. A lot of it rightfully so. It was no good when we were chucking cutters and doing this and doing that. But the biggest problem I have with the rules is the difference between putting a hand or two on a guy and impeding progress. I've always felt like if you're impeding progress, you're stopping somebody from doing something that he should be able to do. That, to me, is freedom of movement. 30 feet from the basket, a touch, I struggle with. I struggle with it for Providence. I do not struggle for the officials. I don't like it, and they're the, what do they always say, don't kill the messenger. They have to do what they're told to do. And more than one time in the last couple of weeks, the guy says, hey, I called the same thing on them, on you guys. And I said, yeah, I thought they got screwed. This is not a Michigan State thing. It's, I would agree with your fan. I think what people don't realize is they've got to be some changes, but we're beating the hell out of people in the post, and we can't look cross-eyed outside. I just don't agree with it. But there's rules in football I don't agree with. There's, you got to play by them. So I'm not gonna go on this is not going to be my Twitter commercial on a weekly basis. It's just going to be, I too wanted to watch Denzel Valentine go against Chris Dunn. And I wanted some flow in the game. And it's just hard to do that. So I almost feel sorry for the officials. I think we should, if we're paying officials good money, it's like paying coaches good money, then we should trust in their judgment a little bit. And yes, somebody's going to make a mistake, whether it be coach or official, but I don't think they agree with it either. And sometimes people that make the rules aren't people that are out on the court. Now, it'll come back that coaches are involved in this and that. And sure, if you have softer teams, you'd like nobody to guard anybody. Just, let's go to the – I don't want that, and I don't believe in that. I don't believe in chucking cutters anymore. I did what we could do when the rules were there. But not a lot of flow. I think it was our players, our assistant coaches. Boy, when we were in Italy, I mean, there was flow to the games. And so I think that's made it hard on our officials. I feel sorry for them. Sometimes I feel bad for our players, but these guys that are talking about it, saying we will adjust, I'd like to see them coach. I'd like to see those same guys play right now. So it's more difficult than you think.
Tom, how much value do you put for a very young team coming into this tournament to be able to play these different types of teams, as you mentioned, in a very 2 games, 2 days in a row, situations like that, and then you're coming up against Louisville? How big do you think that is for these guys to kind of get a feel for that and play against these teams who may play similar styles to ones you'll face down the road?
Well, I think the truth of the matter is we're young and we're old. I mean, we do have 2 or 3 seniors that are playing. We don't have any juniors that have played much. And you're right, we've got freshmen and sophomores, and 2 of those freshmen were very instrumental in last night's win. So I think in that respect, it's unbelievable. Those 2 freshmen today, I think, are walking around. They still think they're in Disneyland. It's going to be interesting to see how they progress and how they handle this. That's all part of the learning process, so I think it's great. The 7 games in 15 days with the travel of Chicago in this and still going to school is a little much to ask of anybody. And, it's one of the things that we're putting all these rules on touchy-feely things, but maybe we should, if we want to look at what's best for the student-athletes, I think we got to really look at either shrinking the games or lengthening the season in the front, because you got to play so many games because you got final exams, you got different things. It's difficult, and I do feel for them. I mean, this has been brutal. Now, saying that, they get through it. You get into those tournaments like the Big Ten tournament, the next championships you could win, or the NCAA tournament, the Big Ten where it's potentially 3 games in 3 days, the NCAA where it's, you got those big weekends, and it could be a Friday, get done at 12:30 at night and play Sunday afternoon. I think these will be good experiences for them, and I think it'll really benefit them. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger, and right now this will be a good test for us because it's going to be against a quality team, and a game that one of our goals was to win the Big Ten. The preseason, tournament, and we accomplished that. But, having big games at home and winning those big games is also one of our goals. So we just keep moving forward.
Go ahead. Tom, change the subject to football a little bit. I heard you mention on air last night right away the football championship they're playing for. Can you, where your program is, where football is, if you go back to like 1996 or something, when you've got Steve Polanowski starting at power forward or something, did this seem unimaginable? And when did it seem, even for both programs, the idea that 20 years later you would have this going on at this school?
Well, I don't know if unimaginable is the right word, but I think you're barking up the right tree. I mean, it's one of those things you dream about, and we always tell our guys to dream big, and this dream is real big, it's because it's bigger than us. It's bigger than football. It's even bigger than the athletic department. If you would have been out there to see the alums and how they responded, and even at the game, I mean, the place was 90% Michigan State, and I think our president has a lot to be proud of, but I think our AD, has really changed the what's happened to football and basketball, because I think it's happening to other sports. I mean, remember some of those hires. I mean, we've got baseball that have won a championship. Our women's team is very good this year, with maybe one of the best players they ever had. It's infectious. I always said I want to be around people that are very successful. I want to be around people that have, having Irvin around practice a couple times last week and just listening to him as he, talks to the guys or talks to us. It's infectious, and I think alums are proud of it, but I'm proud of it because I've been a big part of watching it when we weren't as good and when we did struggle and when we were a little bit more up and down, especially in football. And I think Mark D'Antonio deserves a lot of credit too, because that consistency of that sport helps us all. And so unimaginable, I want to say no, but probably was a little bit unimaginable. And the thought of getting both of us in this position with a lot of football and basketball left to play. But as I always say, if you keep knocking on the door, someday that door is going to open. And now we're to the point where, let's keep knocking on the door and feed off each other, Usually I end my keys to the game on the board before the game with play all 40 minutes, and I reference our football. I mean, I think we learn from one another, and there's nothing better. It's great to tell them about Vince Lombardi and the Green Bay Packers, and to think that most of these guys' parents weren't born then. It doesn't have the same meaning as, hey, Mark D'Antonio and the Michigan State Spartans. It means more, and I think people look at it as I'm just trying to be a salesman for them. I'm not. I have a deep appreciation for what they're doing. I have a deep appreciation for what it does for me. I think he has the same appreciation. And I think, maybe us two have common goals, but our leader, our AD, is, he was out there, took the red eye back to come back here and see the game. I don't need to blow his horn to get a raise or an extension. But I think people need to understand that any organization, your president's calling you after games because she cares when your AD is doing what he's done for Mark and I. That gives you the best chance to win. You better do your job and win and do it the right way. And I think those combination of things, to make a long answer, a little shorter, the combination of things has really benefited us, and the fact that each one of the three of us truly care, I think it's also made the other 2 teams in the same boat, and we have as much unity in a department as I think any in the country, and Hollis has to get some credit for that because he's the head coach of that place.
I watched the game with Jack Ebling last night and Doug here, so I knew what
Teach you a little something.
So I knew what was going on. But we all kind of agreed, and I don't know if you would, that this is your record in November is phenomenal, but that you haven't had this kind of cohesion this soon. And I don't know, do you agree with that, and does Italy have something to do with that?
Well, it is a little crazy, and Jack did send me a text. He told me you said the bunt on that last free throw, so that scared me a little bit. But other than that, I think it's guys like Denzel who've been to a Sweet 16, an Elite 8, a Final Four. It's like hitting for the cycle, as they say in baseball. Can you, you have some bigger goals, and then he's got friends on football, and they've gone kind of the Rose Bowl and the Cotton Bowl, and their goal of getting to this Final Four. There's something in the air here that I think helps that. But I think our Italy trip definitely helped it. We had the right guys, and as I give Hollis a lot of credit, I wasn't always pleased with the way he played last night, but I give Denzel a lot of credit. He has truly taken over this team with his leadership and maybe more important, his will to win. I mean, winning is important to this kid. Tradition is important to this kid, you know. As I said, father being here, all those things are really important. And he did struggle a little bit last night, you know, made some big plays, but he struggled for what he had been doing the last week. And after the game, he knew it. And that's a big sign, boy. That means he's self-evaluating a little bit. And I had to tell him that people are going to play you different now, and people are going to come out. There's going to be a little more pressure on you. You're going to have to handle that. It's all part of the growing process that I say our society wants to speed up. But the reality of it is you have to go through things to learn how to handle things. And I think he's doing that at an incredible rate. And it's been fun to watch. It's the great part about seeing a kid grow right in front of your eyes. And so he deserves a lot of credit, along with, I think, Italy's help. Tom, the way he is. I mean, I don't know. I mean, he's upstairs right now. That kid, if he ever has a bad day, he must hide it. He sprained his ankle pretty good in the beginning of that game, and I didn't even know about it till after the game. I knew he tweaked it. I thought it was just a tweak, and it was a good sprain. I mean, that kid is all day is a good word for him. He's excited all day, every day, and I think that lands in him and Denzel get along like really well. So I guess there's a lot of good reasons. I think I named a bunch of them in this whole thing we're talking about here, where there's just an aura around here where everything is being looked at in a let's be as good as we can be mentality.
Goins gets a couple big plays late. Harris brings the ball up and just gets to the rim. McQuaid hits a three. Is the depth and the different sort of things that you can do in certain matchups part of the start too? And then following up on that, are you closer, you feel like, to hammering things down, or is it sort of like game to game?
Yeah, the first part, yes. The second part, no. We did get some good play out of some guys. We know Harris is a good player. He has struggled, but Austin Thornton, we're walking in the building last night. He says, Coach, you always say it, but maybe you're right. The 16, 17 months not playing, because he's getting better every practice. He's starting to get more comfortable. And I'll tell you, we've been hard on Eron Harris because I think he has so much to give. But he has handled it pretty well. I mean, he has practiced hard, and he made some big plays. And we're learning about him, too. You look at him as a shooter, and maybe he's more of a scorer, but he was struggling with the ball, and now he's starting to feel more comfortable. And I think, Kenny, has been hurt, and he missed the 6-7 weeks. And the reason I'm no closer is I still think the best power forward, and JB hasn't done a bad job, and it just depends if we can go small or big. But I still think Marvy hit a big three last night. He's just, that 9 weeks off for him has, set him back. And so it's going to take a little time. So that's maybe the uncomfortable, unenjoyable, but neat thing about this team is I don't have a feel yet on who my 8 or 9 are totally. I got a feel of who my 10 are. I still got Schilling, who in this tournament would have played a big role because he could guard a guy on the perimeter. Schilling was our best guy all summer and fall of ball screen defense. And ball screens right now is such a critical part of everybody's defense, the way everybody's gone to the NBA ball screens. So I still think, as I've said, the ceiling is a lot higher. Now, how are we going to handle a little success? Are we going to keep working? How are we going to deal with a little failure? All those things are still down the road that I'm trying to keep a handle on. But the depth part of it, Joe, that you brought up is a big plus and a little bit of a minus. It's a big plus, but we're not having enough guys separate themselves yet either. And, you'd hope you'd have maybe a 3-tier of, a Denzel and then a group and then a group. And it's like Denzel and then a big group, which can be a positive, but maybe just a little bit more difficult. And, we're going to see. Our guys going to get frustrated with it. I do feel that we're going to play a little different once we get a few practice days. We're going to extend things a little bit more once we get off this whirlwind and get a couple practice days. And now that we got most of the bodies back other than Schilling, we're going to be able to do that.
Eron Harris, what do you see his role being, right? Like, ideally, what would his role be? And you say you're going to play a little different. I mean, a lot of people think this is maybe as good a start as you've ever gotten off to. What are you chiefly unsatisfied with, I would almost think?
Well, we're not great defensively, especially on the perimeter, with certain lineups in there, and we've got to improve. And I honestly, I think Eron could be a lockdown defender. I think he could be a Charlie Bell. I think he could be a guy that could just lock people up. I really do. Shannon Brownish. He's got the athletic ability. He's a smart kid. He's just trying to find himself. I mean, I'd like to be in his head during a game because the poor guy's probably thinking about 9,000 different things. And in all honesty, rightfully so. And he's trying to get back what he had. And it's, number one, it's a little different. But number two, like I said, he went a long time without playing in a game. And I've really enjoyed the way he's kind of accepted that. I told him he might be coming off the bench early in the year because I thought he'd be an instant offense guy off the bench. He still could start, but I am pleased with the start, but I do think we have a lot of room for improvement, and I think we need to get better defensively. We need to execute a little better offensively, and I think he's a guy that can really shoot the ball. And you'd have Bren and Zell and him, and he and McQuaid have been a little bit up and down in their shooting, and I think they're both very good shooters, so just getting comfortable, getting a little more consistency, and probably, in fairness to them too, getting where it's been here most of the time. Morris Peterson steps up at 16:30 and just goes in. He didn't need a coach; he just coached himself. And when it gets to that point where they know when they're going in and things, I think it'll be a lot easier for them, and that'll be my challenge. So I got some challenges, they got some challenges, but they're pretty good problems to have, and they've handled them pretty well. Tell your wife you're working. All right, next question.
For me, actually. McQuaid and Davis, even when they are up and down, they seem to have just no fear. And that, do you know you're going to have that from them when you're recruiting them?
No.
And I mean, even though there was a post play where I think Davis kicked it out to Bryn and didn't panic when he didn't have anywhere to go. That sort of thing, you can't really teach that and know it's coming, can you?
Deontay has got a chance to be, like I said, I said earlier, one of the best big guys since Paul Davis type. And, it was funny when Irvin was at a couple practices he was at. And, I think he saw the same thing. Now he sees some things he doesn't do right. He struggles a little bit on those ball screen defenses. So we did make some adjustments on how we handled those, and it seemed to help him especially. But I did not see the maturity in those two guys that I've seen on the floor, or the competitiveness, or the ability to step up in big plays that I've seen out of those two guys. McQuaid hits a couple big shots now that might have won us 2 games in a way. And Deontay, we were struggling last night. Their post people were good, athletic, strong, tough, mean, and he just goes about his business. As he gets stronger and gets a little bit more understanding, both offensively and defensively, and he's going to be, I think, really special. I really like Deontay.
Have you got a feel for how he is assessing his situation? For example, last night you said he was really key and instrumental in that win. But his line was like 8 or 10 and 5, and is he understanding the importance of?
No,
the
he's
things that
not.
he's doing?
Right now, he's not. He's trying to. Didi is just trying to exist a little bit right now. He's got so much thrown at him, and like I said, it helped that he had a very good high school coach, very, very good high school coach, and that has helped. But it's such a different element here, and I got to give Costello and Schilling and probably Zell and Tom a lot of credit because they've spent a lot of time with Didi and constantly talking to him. Kobe, sometimes we play those two together because Kobe can really talk him through some situations. And when that light goes on totally, I think we're going to have one hell of a player because he doesn't fear things. He's not the strongest upper body. He's got very strong legs, but he's a pogo jumper. He can get up. He's got long arms. He got a couple big rebounds late. What he did that he doesn't understand is his length bothered that kid in the post. He had scored in the post a few times, and his length, and DJ kept saying, Coach, we got to leave him in there. His length is bothering them, and not always he in the right position, but because of the great athletic ability and the length, he does some things to bother people. So I don't think he knows all of that yet, but when he does, it's gonna he's been fun to coach now, but he's gonna be a lot of fun. Go ahead, you got another part?
I wasn't talking about D. I'm talking about Harris.
Oh.
You look at his line. My question that I had last night was,
Hey, I just got in, man.
satisfied with
I just got in, so
5%?
don't blame me for your vague question, and then I got to look like a fool up here. I just got in.
No. But a guy who's been a scorer, big time scorer.
Yeah.
He has a line like 8, 5, and something like that.
Well, and
has he ever been satisfied? He should have been really satisfied with that because of his impact on the game.
Well, when you average 17, 18 a game, I don't know if you're really satisfied, but I think what he's learning is it is different to win games and championships, and that's what we've been trying to tell him, You can score points, but if you aren't winning, it's personal satisfaction, it's not team. And Denzel came up to me after the home game before we left, and he said, Coach, he goes, I was so impressed with Eron tonight. I said, why is that? He said, twice on the break he could have taken it. He gave me the most beautiful pass, and he says he's really starting to get it, and I think he's expanding his game now, It's hurting his scoring game a little bit. The other thing he's starting to do is he's getting to the offensive glass, As soon as we get a day or two, I got my guy breaking down some Charlie Bell film to show him how many points he scored that way. And the last thing he does, maybe better than anybody we got right now, is he's getting fouled. Him and JB get fouled a lot. We don't have a lot of guys. Zell doesn't get fouled enough. He's been pretty good where we even ran some isolation stuff for him late in the game. And he's starting to understand and get around people and not make a jump pass or things like that. So there's two processes with him. Number one, a different system doesn't make it better or worse, but that is different. And two, trying to figure out how to be a complete player when he was more of a one-dimensional player. He's got to guard people. I've been telling you guys it's illegal for those shooters to guard. I'm still not far off, but they're starting to make some progress because I think they're starting to see, and I think Denzel has helped in that. I mean, Denzel wasn't God's gift to defending when he got here, and to his credit, he has gotten better each year, and now he's telling me, I want this guy. Last night, McQuaid said, Coach, I can guard Dunn. Well, then he was fighting Tom because he wanted him. That is... That's an incredible. I mean, I've had guys that want no part of people, and and I got guys fighting over who gets the best player. So I think we're making progress, and I don't think that's coaching. I think that's leadership with our seniors, especially Denzel.
When you talk to Tom and Denzel, the humorous thing is they want to talk about this freshman class being great, and Denzel said, don't use any other word than great teammates. You went through some times here, Tom, where you won, but it was miserable for everybody, I think. And to now be getting these kids who are great players and great teammates, is that a change in maybe recruiting where you're paying closer attention to kind of who teammates are? Is it luck of the draw, or what is it? Because they're crediting this team's success to having great teammates as freshmen.
When Day got here, he was a piece of work, as you remember, a little heavier than most basketball players and a little ornerier than me. And I remember early on, it was probably the first 2 weeks of practice, and him and Sutan almost went at it. And Sutan went over and said something to him. Day didn't want to hear any bit of it. I had to break it up a little bit. And then I think Day kind of got it. He kind of realized that this guy, and Sutan was such an incredible help to Day and Delvon Rowe. And then it wasn't that much longer that, I got Nix taking a swing at Day, that's kind of stuff. And Day telling me, no, we got to bring Nix along, to, this past year, I'm making sure that Nix is around here. He's still looking after him, I just think that when you have good senior leadership and when things matter, boy, I'd like to take a lot of credit for a lot of things because I know I'll get a lot of blame for a lot of things, but that's the juniors and seniors, That is, I think, another thing you learn in football, when they have their council and all this, because they have enough players too. If I had a council, the council would be making decisions on the people in the council, and because we just don't have enough players. But I think Denzel and Tom, and Matt does a pretty good job too. They spend time with these young guys, and yet the young guys are not entitled. They respect the veteran guys. What I said this with Cleaves, I said this with Draymond, I said it with Travis Walton. It's always good when a Cleaves or a Steve Smith or a Magic or a Day walk into the gym and know that those other guys respect him. And there were times that if you're entitled, you don't respect other people. And I think the culture now is getting so that is not only expected, it's demanded, and not always by the head coach. And those are the things that make a program, and sometimes it's never going to take just a couple of years. It's going to take time, and we're heading towards that. And that being said, before there's another question, we won a big game against Kansas. They played pretty well. We didn't play as well. We had a good finish, which is a very encouraging thing, like our football team. A couple games didn't play as well, but it's not how you play, it's how you finish. And so we finished well there and won a big game. We finished well last night and won a big game. But we have so far to go yet, and I don't say that humbly. I say that, who knows how good the schedule's been. I know Kansas is very good. I really, to be honest with you, like Boise. I liked Boise. When I watched them against Arizona, the first time they played at Arizona, they could have beat Arizona. So I thought Boise, we beat them here by 1 or 2 a couple of years ago, was really good. And I loved Providence. I just thought they had a guard that could do a lot of things. They have toughness. They did not have great depth. But those were 3 good teams. But, as we play a Louisville now and then a Florida, and then, boy, we got that trip to Northeastern, I'm sure you all saw, where they just beat Miami. So, our non-conference schedule, I think, is going to be the best it's been for different styles, different types of teams, and good teams. with a Boise and a Northeastern and maybe an Oakland, teams that are not a BCS level but very good teams. So it's I want to get excited about our team, but I also realize that the adversity hasn't hit yet. We've had a few injuries early, but we've played with them from the beginning, so that doesn't matter. Denzel hasn't been completely taken out of a game yet. He will. That'll happen, and how we adjust to that. So we got a lot of things that we can improve on, and I think that's the exciting part about the team.
Just on the quick order, is there a Schilling update, or is that up to him and Payne and the doctor?
Yeah, he's supposed to be out of his boot this week. It's funny because my buddy Mariucci was out there, and, as we all know, turf toe is more of a football injury. That's why it's called turf toe. And, he was saying how long it takes some guys. I mean, he will not play this week. I am pretty assured of that right now. And but the encouraging part is the swelling's gone down. And you can get turf toe where it's one way. You can get turf toe like when ligaments are damaged, and I think he's had some ligaments damaged. So thank God he's a tough kid. But I also talked to Mark Few. I think I said that last week. The Pangos kid almost went all year with it. We can't afford that to happen, so we got to get it right in the beginning. But I don't want to make Schilling out to be Superman. But for some of the teams we played, again, when you have different lineups that can adjust to different teams. Last night they went small a couple times. We actually put Denzel at the 4, and we can be very versatile. And with him, that pick and pop 4, that real brute inside, he can make a difference. We're going to get maybe in Louisville, unfortunately, because he won't play probably, or definitely, but they can go 7'6", 6'10" inside, and there'd be a time you play him and Matt together a little bit. And so I think he's getting better. He's doing a little bit more. He was doing some exercise with his boot off, but that boot's been on solid up until yesterday, so he's still a ways away.
Wondering if you'll have any dialogue with the Izzo, given the Patino situation, keeping it classy, or lay off that one?
That's a good question. It's like the girl asking the running back from Ohio State, "You get enough carries?" It's you guys are always good for one. No, there's a few things I want to talk to the Izzo about, both in class for our own fans and respect for other people. So I'll probably do a little something. It's a good question, Fred, for a baseball nut. Anything else, guys? How was the football game? I'm going to interview you. Good? We have a good crowd? Looked like it on TV. That's awesome. Really? I wouldn't say that, but I'm glad about that. So it should be a great week. Hopefully you guys won't get overworked. See you later.